Hi, I am Jennifer Walker Gates, immigration attorney with Walker Gates Vela in Austin, Texas. And I am here today with friend Randall Emery, who is past president and current treasurer of an organization called American Families United. And we're here today to talk about American Families United and their project to promote the American Families United Act. And I'm really pleased, I'm really excited that Randall is here. Thank you, Randall, for coming. And I'm really looking forward to sharing about the American Families United Act because I believe it will provide so many of our clients and friends and family with some much needed hope with respect to the way that our immigration system functions. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you and ask you to give us a little information first about American Families United, the organization, and kind of what y'all do.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me today. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and to let people know more about the American Families United Act and American Families United. To start off, American Families United is what we call a social welfare organization, a nonprofit organization, which allows us to commit 100% of our efforts to trying to change the law. And we got started back in 2006. So we've been around for over 14 years now. And all of us who started the organization came from an experience of having sponsored a spouse or maybe children for immigration and had gone through one issue or another. Some of those issues we've worked and seen successfully resolved. That was the case with what I experienced myself. I got married not too long after September 11th, and there were huge delays on background checks at the time. This impacted my own family for years, and we successfully advocated for a change in the law that resulted in more than 250,000 families being reunited who've been stuck in these situations or given the freedom to move on with their lives, as was the case with us. For a lot of other people, we have an issue that's still there today, and this is what the American Families United Act gets to. It is the situation that started in 1996, went into effect in 1997, where administrative non-compliance with immigration law, not anything criminal, but administrative violations, non-compliance issues, the kind of things that if you were driving your car, you'd get a ticket for and pay a fine, or if you had a business and you were not in compliance, you'd get a fine. There were changes put into place that resulted in people effectively being banished, their spouses being banished with no recourse under the law. As one former Republican congressman talked about this when we described this, a former judge before he was a congressman, he said this is like capital cases with traffic court rules of evidence. So it's unfair as it stands right now, as I'm sure many people know. So you have people who are waiting out 10 years before they can even apply for permission to reapply, to then apply for a waiver. You have other people who can never apply at all for a waiver, and they're in this unconscionable situation where they have to choose between their country and their marriage. And the American Families United Act would solve the problem by saying, listen, we're going to restore the kind of due process that was there back in 1995 and 96 to say, if you're a US citizen, you can go before a judge to have your needs taken into account. And that's it. That's what the American Families United Act is in a nutshell. And we're really excited. This bill was introduced in the past as a bipartisan bill um, with Beto O'Rourke, who many people know because he ran for president. It was Steve Pierce, who was congressman for Southern New Mexico, who then ran for governor of New Mexico. So two real advocates. The challenge this year was, starting in 2019 in this Congress anyway, was that neither of them were members of Congress again. So that's where we had to kind of pick up this year.
So I just want to back up for a moment and address what I understand to be the sort of the thrust of the American Families United Act, which would be to allow immigrants and their spouses who qualify for waivers under the current law, and people who don't qualify for waivers, but basically there would be a waiver available for multiple unlawful entries, as well as for things like false claims to U.S. citizenship, if there was a U.S. citizen spouse or child who would suffer extreme hardship in the event of a separation. Is my understanding correct on that?
Well, with a little nuance, and it's a great question, because those cases would be covered, yes. In those cases, because those are two of the cases that we know. I mean, so many people have been affected by. And if I can just take well, maybe I'll come back to it and talk about some of the numbers because we've done some research on how many people are impacted by this that I'd like to come back to. But where there are waivers that people get sometimes now, and they have to qualify for extreme hardship. The American Families United Act, in its current version, the version that was just introduced, would allow people to apply for a waiver on the basis of preserving family unity in the United States, which is an important distinction for us, because what extreme hardship was taken to mean was extreme hardship, meaning like regular hardship for being separated from your family wouldn't count, which is kind of nonsensical, but that's how it is. So it's an important distinction, because that should improve the chances for anyone applying, and also, get back to principles that matter. It's important for you to be with your husband or wife because you want to have a family.
Just because you're married, just because they're your husband or wife. Mm-hmm.
Right. To have to go out and employ a clinical psychologist to document how the lack of this has caused trauma to your family is kind of ridiculous, because that is the natural result. Extreme hardship is the natural result of these separations. So that's one thing. And there's a little bit of a nuance with children too. So it's where you have a spouse of a U.S. citizen, or somebody who shares a child with a U.S. citizen. That's where the children come into effect. So, and maybe I'll jump into this right now. There was a real effort to really narrow down the focus of this bill, to try to make it as easy to pass as possible. So on the downside, that's reducing the number of people who could be helped. That doesn't mean that people couldn't be helped by other bills. So it's just kind of separating out the population. So everybody's familiar with the DREAM Act, with DACA. That's a case of a very narrow population being helped. So same thing with the American Families United Act. This increases the chances of it passing all by itself. So we're really excited about that narrowing from that perspective. You know, we're very happy that we have something that has a chance of passing all by itself. You know, maybe there'll be something bigger. What we hope Congress will do is have a choice of everything and something, not everything, not all or nothing, not just something and not everything, but actually try to pursue these at the same time. That's what we're hoping to see. And we're seeing one, you know, there's one congressman who's a co-sponsor of this, Congressman Darren Soto, who really kind of embodies this approach. He's co-sponsored this bill when it was introduced. He's co-sponsored a larger bill called the Reuniting Families Act. He's co-sponsored a narrower bill called the Protecting Patriot Spouses Act, and he's co-sponsored a private bill for one of his for one of the families who's he's trying to help. We hope to see everybody kind of do that, take that approach. You know, come at it from every angle you can. So,
Which
but the other
Republicans
thing,
have, which of the Republicans have so far expressed support for American? I understand that you have some Republican support for this proposal as well. Who have you seen come?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's so. Congressman Rob Woodall was the lead co-sponsor on this. So this was just introduced as we're recording this, just a little over a week ago. So it's still very new, and Congress has not been in session for very long at all since it was introduced. It was introduced the day before the election. So so everybody's just been glued to the TV, you know, kind of watching things unfold. And now, you know, people are starting to get back into business. They're back in the office on Capitol Hill. But yeah, so Congressman Rob Woodall. And then the most exciting part of this, from our perspective, is that the lead sponsor is Congresswoman Veronica Escobar. And all three of these, I mean, they work together, you know, so closely to try to get language that they could see passed. They all are tremendously committed to this. But Congresswoman Veronica Escobar is on the Immigration and Citizenship Subcommittee of the Judiciary Committee in the House of Representatives. Now, you know, what that means is she's with a group, and she's in the majority too, which gives additional power. She's in a very, very small group of people. I mean, there's, you know, more than 400 members of Congress, but she's in less than 10 people who actually decide whether bills come to a vote on immigration. So to have her as the lead sponsor is really important. So we're really excited about it.
Sorry about that. I apologize.
No, that's all right. So, but yeah, see, well, everybody's excited. No,
I know.
You're getting alerts about it. No. but these combinations of things, the narrowing, making more likely to pass, the leadership on the committee that makes the decisions, like this is really setting this up to pass. And in addition, we have a president-elect who in his platform talks about family unity as a cornerstone of immigration. So we are, you know, we're really excited about the prospects of this, you know, so we're
wonderful.
Yeah.
And how can we support this bill if we want to lend our support as voters, as citizens, to American Families United Act? What would be the best way for us to do that?
Okay, well, thank you so much for asking. The two things that people can do are to tell their members of Congress and senators and the president that it's time to pass this. Let them know that it's important. And we made this easy by having a petition on the American Families United website. If you go to www.americanfamiliesunited.org, it's going to be the first thing you see on the site.
And we'll post a link as well with this video.
Yeah, and then thank you. And then the second thing, it's one thing to say, I want this to pass, and we want your help in recruiting as many people as we can. You know, not even 2 weeks in, we've already got more than 1,000 people signed. That was our initial goal. So we've already passed that. We're excited to get it off to a really great start. But there's a second piece to this, to say what you want to do and then to say why you want to do it. And that's where your stories come in. So that means setting up meetings with members of Congress and telling them the story. If you're personally impacted by this, if you are a family that might be separated, has been separated since the change and laws went into effect in '97, then you're in a position to tell them why. And that's what wins people over more than anything. When Congressman Woodall's staff, who we've worked with now for a couple of years on this, what they told us was, and we'd met with them more than once, on more than one occasion, said, what's the most important thing for us to do? And they said, talk to people. You convinced us. It's the real stories of real people. So saying what to do, saying why it's important, that can include getting involved with the press. But when you sign the petition and say that this is important, this kind of does double duty as a starting point, because not only do you sign up and sign a petition, but that's on our website. You get entered into our database, and that gives us a way to contact you and let you know, hey, we're going to be doing something, and this is an opportunity to talk to your member of Congress. So one of the things that we're also doing, which you'd be plugged into immediately when you sign the petition, is we're doing our annual lobby days, which are right around Valentine's Day. This year, that may be extended a bit because of coronavirus, and we expect to have a whole lot of virtual meetings. But that's already in planning. It's already set up to go. So we'll be hitting the ground running right when a new Congress is sworn in. So we're excited. We're excited about where this year is going to lead.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Randall. So everybody, please go to the notes below this video. We will post a link to the petition. Please go sign the petition. Support the American Families United Act. We've been talking for years with thousands of clients and family members about the permanent bar and how badly it affects families in immigrant communities and in our whole country. The permanent bar is one of the problems that would be addressed by this bill. So please do take a moment to go sign the petition. Let your representatives know that you support American Families United Act and that you support family unity in our immigration laws. And again, Randall, thank you so much for all of your advocacy and your work on this issue. We really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to having you back on again to give us an update on how things are going with Congress.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. And if I could just add people as one kind of final encouragement is, you're definitely not alone on this. I mentioned numbers, and there's almost 1.3 million people in the country, families in the country who might be separated, and half as much of that again who have been separated at one point, and by the State Department statistics have not been, the separations have not been resolved. So, have faith that really there's a lot of people out there. You can come forward. You can be a part of this. This impacts a lot of people. So you don't have to worry that you're the only one when you come forward. So anyway, thanks again, Jennifer. It was a real pleasure talking with you today. And thanks for helping us get the word out about this really important bill.
Thank you, Randall.